And we have a list of characteristics we want to share that we think really exemplified Richard and are what made Richard Richard.
Richard. Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard.
Richard Holland.
Richard Holland was a terrific student, an excellent debater, and a talented comic. But above all, he was a great friend.
He was always kind to everyone.
Spontaneous, outgoing, extremely lighthearted, and always willing to go the extra mile for a friend.
It's like hard to put him in terms of words.
I knew him better than a lot of people that I've known my entire life.
Contagious.
He was always a joy to be around.
Just happy.
He's always a glowing person.
A positive perspective about everything.
Richard was always that guy you could talk to about anything.
Hilarious.
The greatest guy with the best morals.
Live in the moment.
An incredible athlete.
Very gregarious.
Very sweet, kind, helpful to a lot of other people.
I just remember the extraordinary lengths that he would go to make sure his friends felt appreciated and respected.
One of the things that really struck me about him was his ethical standards.
He studied, he read, he wanted to be better than who he was.
First time I met Richard was an Amistad project. We went over to his house to work on it, and when I got there he sat me down and he started playing music. I think it was Kanye. He's like, do you like this song? What kind of music do you listen to? What music do you really like? And he really made an effort to get to know me as a person more than, you know, the usual partners working on a group project. And he really wanted to know, to become friends with me.
I remember the first time that I met Richard, which was probably the end of junior year. He walked up to me and asked me, and said, "Are you the Priyanka Subash?" And I remember responding to him and saying, "Yeah, I am." And then he looked at me and he said, "We're gonna be friends."
The thing about Richard is that he can become friends with you so quickly and become a part of the group so seamlessly.
I think he was probably the most extraordinary student that I taught in all of my 30 years. He's so memorable.
Every assignment, no matter how boring it was, he made it really exciting for everyone around him. And he just carried that passion to all aspects of his life.
He would always make sure he dedicated a lot of time in succeeding.
Incredible speaking abilities, incredibly articulate.
He just reminded me that, you know, even if we're in a bad circumstance, like, there's always a positive light to everything.
I guess what I learned from him, and hope that other people learn from his memory, is to get out of my comfort zone, to get out of your comfort zone, and do something fun, something memorable.
Always live in the moment. You know, never really complained about anything. Really just appreciated how simple life is and appreciated every moment that he got to live in it. And I think that's something we can all learn from. We all sometimes get bogged down in complaining about the small things, but really we all have it so well. So I think that's something that I personally took away from knowing Richard.
He was so open, so willing to let you into his heart. There was nothing that he wasn't willing to tell you. He wasn't trying to hide his vulnerabilities.
He made everyone feel great about themselves, no matter what the situation. For instance, for basketball, we played a lot of basketball with Dick. I had, like, for me, one of the best blocks against Dick. Like, he shot the ball, blocked against the backboard. Instead of being upset like I would have been very upset. And probably would have turned around and just walked the other way. He was like, "Wow, that was an awesome block. I'm amazed." And he just makes everyone around him feel just wonderful all the time.
I remember my senior year of high school when I was terribly, terribly sick at the Harvard speech tournament. I had a triple whammy combo of cold, flu, and strep throat, and Richard was really concerned about me. I spent 2 days of competition in the hotel room coughing to myself, and Richard made sure I was comfortable. He got me food from the hotel lobby. He dumped packets of Emergency into my lap. Richard always thought that vitamin C could cure any disease. And you know what? I got better really quickly. But I don't think it was just because of the Emergency. I think it was because Richard made me laugh so much.
Wanted to watch out for his friends. Whenever we would all pile into his car, because he always offered to drive when nobody else wanted to drive. He would double check, make sure everybody had their seatbelts on before we left the parking lot.
Before class, he had finished his homework, and so he copied down the answers quickly off of somebody before the teacher walked in, like we all would have done, and he turned it in. But then 15 minutes into class, while the teacher was still talking like about for PowerPoint stuff, he felt so guilty that he went up to the teacher and confessed to copying and cheating on his homework.
He wanted to be friends with everybody, and that's really what made him great.
Richard never hesitated to extend a helping hand to his friends.
He would never let his disappointments get in the way of celebrating a friend's success.
He looked at the world through the eyes of a child with such innocence. You know, a kid looks at the world as seeing all the good in it and all the good in people, and that's how Richard looked at people. You know, he didn't look at the bad, he looked at the good.
Richard was there to cheer you up, to give you a compliment, to tell you that you're beautiful, or that you can go into this test and you can ace it even if you didn't even study for it, because that's how Richard was
down and had a bad day. I knew Richard could brighten that.
He made sure he never left any of his friends in the dust. For example, anytime that either me or Peyton needed to make a trip from Dallas to Austin or Austin to Dallas, it's like a 4-hour drive, he would never hesitate to call shotgun, just to make sure that we weren't bored on the trip, even though he had no reason whatsoever.
I get a call from Richard saying he wanted to go out fishing, and I didn't really know what to expect, but even though I didn't catch any fish, and of course Richard caught like 4 or 5, maybe 6, it was one of the best nights I had all summer. He could take any situation, turn it into a really fun one.
Richard didn't care about anybody's exterior, and he really saw everyone for who they were, and he was the most genuine person that I've ever met.
He'd always keep us going, and he was always there to be like the person that motivated us.
He's so compassionate and endearing, and he cares about everybody no matter what the situation, and that compassion was incredibly unique. And even though I knew him for such a short amount of time, I've never become so close to someone that quickly.
This one's more subtle, actually. It takes some time to kind of understand this trait fully, but Richard was so caring, and he cared so much about making other people happy that often he would sacrifice things for himself so that other people could be happy.
I had a project to film a movie, and we just decided to make ours like as ridiculously slapstick as possible. And during one of the scenes, Richard was supposed to hop over a fence, and this fence was like 8 feet tall. And Richard was a pretty good climber, but not a good like settler. So basically, he just hopped over the fence, and then he just like plopped on down the other side, like an 8-foot drop. And we had him film this scene like 3 or 4 times. And it just like showed the kind of guy he was. He would just do anything to put a smile on our faces and just for us to have a good time.
He had to win at everything, no matter what it is. Golf, tennis, we played so many games of tennis, debate, football. He wanted to play football so bad in middle school, he ended up being a kicker.
It was always a great time with Richard.
We could turn any ordinary situation into a fantastic time.
Everything was an adventure.
Making a random trip to the casino in the middle of the day, or making a random trip to the lake to have an excursion, just out of nowhere, Richard was always looking for an adventure.
He lived his life really well.
Had his priorities pretty straight.
I can honestly say in the 19 years that, almost 20 years that he was on this earth, he probably lived twice as much as I have.
He was really just a really good friend to have, really the best possible friend that anyone could possibly ask for.
I'm impressed, and I'm blessed that I got to teach Richard.
Yes, he was funny. Yes, he was kind. Yes, he had all of these things that everyone's talking about. But he also wanted to matter in the world. And I think that he's mattered to all of us.
The main reasons why we have an element of having somebody else speak on your behalf, somebody else talk on your behalf, is because, when you think about Dick, you have to think about the people around him, how much people around him cared about him because of the attributes that he had. And that's why it's so important for us that we see what you have to say. And not only what you have to say, but what your friend has to say as well about yourself. Because that can reveal just as much as anything else. So we certainly have a lot of great memories of Dick, and we hope that you enjoy this video.
Call and never forget.